How's it going, everybody? My name is Anthony Miranda. I'm a licensed and practicing attorney in the state of California, and today I'm going to be breaking down AB 879 for you guys, and this is the law that causes background checks for firearm precursors. So the way this bill operates, if it's enacted, is it restricts the sale and purchase of firearms precursors to only firearms precursors vendors. And these vendors have to be authorized by the state of California to sell these various items to California citizens. And if you do not go through these means, or if you do not go through a precursor vendor or firearms precursor vendor, you are essentially going to be hit with a misdemeanor. What the California legislature is trying to do right now is push through a bill which is going to require you to get a background check anytime you buy an accessory which they define as a precursor or a firearm precursor. So another weird caveat with this bill is that it allows the transfer, a one-time transfer of one of these firearms precursors. So let's just say that they say a fore-end of a rifle is a firearms precursor. I could potentially transfer that to a relative or whoever, really, as long as they are not a prohibited person, if they are not underage, etc. I can transfer that one time to them, but then say I also want to give them another firearms accessory or another AR accessory or something that falls under the language of this bill. I am prohibited from doing that, and I would have to go through a firearms precursor vendor to transfer that. So you kind of just get a one-time per 30 days to transfer to another individual. And if you transfer more than that and you get caught, I don't know how they would catch you, but if you did get caught, you would be subject to a misdemeanor under this bill. So let's break down what a firearms precursor is as defined by the California legislator under this AB 879. And I'm going to read directly from the language that they put in this bill. So a firearms precursor part is essentially a component of a firearm that is necessary to build or assemble a firearm, and that's going to be important later for a discussion that I have, and is described in either category, and then they list two categories. The overarching themes of these categories is an unfinished receiver of an AR-10 or AR-15. Those firearms are specifically stated in that part 1 of the subsection. They go on to define also AKs. And then subsection 2 is unfinished handgun frames. So why did I emphasize that "and" language in the bill? Well, at least for me as a California attorney, when I look at these statutes and these various bills and stuff, every single word has significance. And the way we're going to look at this is a lot of people are saying that all kinds of items associated with AR-15s and firearms are going to be regulated by a California legislator. Now that might be their intent, and they might pass this bill, intending it to do that. But down the road, in interpreting what exactly this legislation is meant to do or is intended to do, the inclusion of that "and" in that critical position might actually, help us fight this if it is passed down the road. So let me just break down my reasoning behind that. The bill says a component of a firearm that is necessary to build, so that's one requirement, or assemble a firearm. So it has to be either necessary to build or to assemble. And then right after that, it says "and" is described in either category. And it defines an unfinished AR, AR lowers, various receivers, and unfinished handguns. So for a firearm part to fall under this precursor language, it has to meet not only those subsections below, but the ones above. For example, I've seen some videos and I've seen some discussion about people saying, well, handguards, they are gonna regulate handguards. They might, and that might have been their intent, but the way I read the language is a handguard doesn't fall under this bill, because maybe you can argue that it's necessary to build an AR or to assemble an AR, but it does not fall under one of the subsections described below. So it fails the second prong of that test. And so that's critical. The way they wrote this, it doesn't read to include all various parts of firearms. It's very specific firearms that they at least wrote into this language to be covered. Again, like I said, they might pass this bill and they might enforce it as if it encompasses a lot of different firearms parts, but down the road, if we have to challenge this, by them including specific language, we might have a better chance of fighting it. It seems like through reading through this bill, it's going to operate similar to how the new ammo law in California is operating. So the way this is going to look is you go into a firearms precursor vendor, which is either an FFL, business that's lawfully or legally allowed to sell ammo. Those type of businesses are automatically grandfathered in through this bill. But you go into one of these businesses, you'll hand them your ID as is what it looks like, and they are going to run a background check the ammo law calls it an eligibility check, but this one is probably just going to be another similar background check type thing. They're going to double check you through the AFS system. If your ID matches up with the AFS system, then you're cleared. I think this bill also adds another $1 fee. So also similar to how the new ammo law operates, this firearms precursor law is going to require the precursor vendor to send information of the sales, your name, your ID, what you purchased, all these things are going to get sent also to the California DOJ. So what would be my recommendation to you going forward right now as we see this bill work its way through the California legislature? I would say it's probably smart to start stockpiling for lack of better words, various firearms parts. So it might be smart, still to get your forends or, your various sights or magazines, whatever it is, which I don't believe fall under the language, but the California legislature might say falls under the language, and then you're subject to background checks every time you want to buy any little part for an AR or your handgun or, etc., any firearm really. And I would not say that this is playing on fear. I actually had a discussion earlier this week with some other attorneys, and they were making fun of another individual who had stockpiled ammo and he shouldn't have to worry about the new ammo law and this and that. Well, the reality is, yeah, he doesn't have to worry about it per se, because he took precautions, in case that this happened. Sometimes it's better to be safe than sorry. It's sad to say, but specifically in California, we never know what our legislator is going to do. And so sometimes it is better to be safe than sorry, especially when this bill is making its way through the legislature. And we had a very similar bill just take place in California that is almost mirrored in this bill that's working its way through, our California legislature. So it is hard to capture all the nuances and cover all the nuances that go on in California, but I'll try the best of my ability to keep you guys updated and cover things that you guys have questions on. If you write down in the comment section, hey, I want you to, cover so-and-so, or, what's the deal with this, I'll try my best to make a video about it and get you guys informed. So thanks guys again. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.